Hi, everybody. I'm Thomas Buckner. I'm a senior at Santa Clara University. I study finance and business analytics, and this is my presentation on my senior thesis, Sematech 2.0, What and Why Now? So within this thesis, I explored some of the current industry dynamics of the semiconductor industry as a whole. I looked at 6 different features and studied them to ultimately come up with a proposal for a new Sematech. Sematech was a consortium in the 1990s of 14 American US based semiconductor companies that basically was inspired by the threat of growing Japanese competition. Very similarly, now we see growing threat of China in the US market. Sematech 1.0, the one in the 90s, worked to combat this competition through increased research and development and knowledge sharing within the consortium. So I'm looking to increase that knowledge creation, increase that intellectual property, and focus on uniting the US semiconductor industry to this consortium. So my research specifically was focused on the current dynamics of the industry as a whole. I looked at six features of the industry. What's it going to look like after the end of Moore's law? How has software been guiding hardware within this industry? Advanced chips versus legacy chips. We've seen a switch, especially with the growth of the Internet of Things, towards legacy chips rather than the advanced chips that previously used to be driving the industry. Next, I looked at what the market's going to look like after the CHIPS Act. Usually there's this natural restructuring in industries just as they go throughout their life cycle. But this natural restructuring has kind of been stopped as the CHIPS Act helped extend the industry past like a decay phase. And so it'll be interesting to see how the CHIPS Act plays out in the next couple of years. Next, I focused on some global interdependencies. This is mainly like supply chain choke points of specific manufacturers within the global supply chain that relies very heavily on other pieces, and the importance of Taiwan in the US semiconductor industry. Taiwan can't really be mentioned without the looming threat of China there and their various IP thefts, patent violations, and impact of an invasion might bring on the industry. My research methods include both academic research through library databases, business journals, and business thought leaders to present-day news and government information regarding the CHIPS Act. I looked at both of these sources through 2 frameworks. The current dynamics I looked at through the Snowden-Canavan framework, and this helps define an industry or like an ecosystem at a specific quadrant within the framework. So I learned that this industry itself through my research is extremely complex. There are ecosystems of ecosystems, and it basically breaks down that complex industry and gives you a way to see it as a whole. So within a complex industry, we want to probe, sense, and respond. And this is because knowledge is unknown within complex industries. That's what the Canavan framework tells us. So we need to put something out there, see how the industry responds. It's hard for like bureaucracy and government to say something and set proposals out without knowing how the market's going to respond. So my idea is that this consortium helps generate this probing sense within the market. And that also has to do with knowledge creation. So my results are basically this proposal for Sematech 2.0, this new consortium. And this is for three main reasons from this research. There's a widespread diffusion of software talents globally. No longer is Silicon Valley the center of the industry itself. And this is also because the US has moved a lot of manufacturing capabilities outside of the US. So in order to bring that back, in order to move away from Taiwan and China, there's going to be this massive financial capital investment needed to kind of like solidify the US's place in the semiconductor market. And so hopefully this consortium, with the help of the CHIPS Act, can help companies, both designers and manufacturers, pool their resources to build these manufacturing plants that are so crucial to our success. Finally, mentioning that posturing of China on a global stage, we see the political battle between Taiwan and China. And hopefully this consortium will fight that posturing by forming a patent commons, a sharing of ideas after using knowledge creation, generating knowledge within the businesses to help combat that manufacturing exodus and solidify the US's place in the market. Touching on that knowledge creation just briefly, though, we'll go into it a little bit more on the next slide. This is what's going to be really crucial to this consortium, and it's what's going to differentiate American companies within the consortium from other companies outside. So within this analysis, I looked at the Nanaka framework for knowledge creation, which you see there in the middle, and mainly focus on this externalization area, which is turning tacit knowledge, which is in your head, to explicit knowledge, which is like on paper and can be easily shared. So this is turning like engineers' knowledge bases into something that is like tangible, like patents, to help differentiate from China. So this consortium, which would rebuild US semiconductor dominance in the global market, is united through a patent commons, which is focused on bringing back all that knowledge that is out there, or maybe a return to Silicon Valley, or it can be somewhere else. But we can't just design semiconductors in the US anymore. We need to manufacture them. And this is going to help us stay protected as political battles with Taiwan deepen. The focus is on this knowledge creation. It's not, it's not my decision to say who should be a part of it or how exactly it's going to be run, but this consortium is the future of semiconductors in the US and will help to differentiate away from China as political tensions build globally. Thank you.